All right. Good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon, I should say. My name is Malcolm. I'm here with 5D Corporate Teaching and Learning Center. We're so excited for I think it's our fourth power session so far. I believe so. We just want to welcome you to our power session with Zoran on business case writing. First off, we want to recognize that we are located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral to unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We're all treaty people, and this land continues to be the home of diverse Indigenous peoples, First Nation, Métis, and Inuit, whom we recognize as our contemporary stewards of the land and vital contributors of today's society. Without further ado, I just want to welcome Zoran. Zoran has an extensive experience working in diverse environments as a professional training and development consultant. He has worked with public and private sectors, providing consultation on a wide range of strategic planning, change management, and technology topics. He's a proven thinker on leadership effectiveness, teamwork, and cultural and generational diversity. So we just want to welcome Zoran today for taking care of our power session. So welcome, Zoran.
Thank you, Malcolm, for a beautiful introduction, and thanks everybody to allocate a few minutes of your time, a busy schedule, especially unpredictable today to the storm and everything that surrounds, the cleaning, shoveling, driving, and etc. So I want to start with, a very powerful statement. So I'm a big fan of Richard Branson. And Richard actually was one of my clients. I used to work for BlackBerry Corporate Canada, and Virgin Mobile actually was one of my clients that I got a chance, I have to say, very fortunate. So I always ask him, and always listen. His, as we normally say, 5 cents. So the contribution to the business. And he always said, the business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. And one thing that I really took away from, of course, he elaborate a little bit further. I'm not going to take too much of time, but he said most of his success was very close tied to business case writing. So there's a couple of things when it comes to business case. Number one has to be timely, and also another part is going to be has to pinpoint really what is the solution that you are going to provide as an organization, as a company. So when it comes to writing, normally, traditionally, what we experience in a business case, we waited until some project is being developed, and as a part of the project, we started pretty much looking into as let's do the business case. So one of the biggest thing what I always said about business case, it is something that really will provide a guideline, but also justification for undertaking any type of project that you're trying to do. So what has changed a lot as of late, the COVID and everything that came in place, the people started being more responsible for how they spend their money or how they invest in their companies. So the writing is a one thing, but actually doing it timely, that is another thing. So what I normally say, you can write a program as a business case, you can do your portfolio, but the bottom line is make it timely. So what is the thing that you are trying to fix or trying to get to the next level, especially if you're working with a local or any type of business. Actually could go small to very large. The large businesses are slightly different because they do have kind of core writing is done based on their perimeters. So what they basically giving you, they giving you the guideline what you need to do. The rest of it is pretty much what is the problem, what are you trying to evaluate as a benefit of doing a project or doing a business case. When it comes to business case, as a part of it, of course, there are 4, sometimes 5 parts, depending what are you or who you're writing to. One of the things that I always talk about is, gives you a general idea what is the cost of something that you're trying to do. So it's not anymore just basically say, hey, I'm here, my organization is here, we're trying to help you, we're trying to make our department, if it's within the corporate, better. So people want to know what is the cost associated to, especially these days, because we're still kind of on that tail end of Corona and uncertainty when it comes to all the things that Bank of Canada and the World Bank actually is mentioning. So the cost is very important for people to understand. So that's why the business case writing is the one that will explain and define that. But also, another thing that people are a little bit skeptical these days is what if it doesn't work? So basically, in your business case, you have to define, or actually, you have to explain what are the risks and how you're going to overcome any type of situation that has risk tied to the project. So again, evaluation would be based on the benefits. So why I'm doing it. So I'm writing business case because I want to find or show you the benefits. I want to show you how much it's going to cost, and I want to show you how or what type of risk we are getting into it by doing this particular, let's call it, solution. Um, as of today, so last 10, 11 years of my existence in the business world, as a consultant, so probably I wrote around 150 business cases. So my successful rate is a little bit less than prior to COVID, so I'm noticing that. So prior to COVID, I wrote 102 business cases, and I was approved on 87 of them. So if I look at the ratio, absolutely, I have to proudly say I had a really, really good sense of how to write it or how to present it. So when it comes to business case, a lot of times people will say, oh, wrote it and I'm kind of sitting on it and nothing is happening. So there's three things when you write a business case. First of all, you have to write it. You have to communicate who you're sending it to. Normally that will be defined in the process itself. The second thing is going to be you have to present it, and then you have to do the follow-up. So the business case itself cannot be just sitting, in somebody's desk or somebody's email as attachment. So it has to be some type of structure that needs to be done. So what are the business challenges and what kind of give people or some type of struggle, let's say, why they write the business case? What is the purpose of it? So if you look at any business, normally, the first thing is it's a market. So we are in the market, we are the company, we are organization. Either we want to take shares of the certain market or we want to penetrate into a new market. So it could be a variety of things when it comes to the market. What is the plan next 2 to 5 years? So again, business cases are very common for business plan writing. So if your company is expanding or anything like that, part of that business plan, maybe you're looking as a financial side of the business, you need enhancement or you need a little bit of extra money or extra grant or extra loans to go to the next level of your business, then the business case comes in place or comes handy. Cash flow. A lot of times when it comes to, especially we experienced this during the COVID, most of the small businesses, they did really struggle with cash flow. So in order for them to kind of get stamp or get something that will have that buy-in, definitely that would be a business case explaining the financial management, where they are at now and what is the cash flow they need to operate. Another thing which is normally big, and I did mention a little bit, it's called problem solving. So what is the problem that you're trying to solve? Every business has, normally as the entity, doesn't matter, it's incorporated, LTD, sole proprietorship, it really doesn't matter. When we look at a business as a whole, the easiest way to explain what they do is if they can pinpoint what is the problem they solve for their market, for their customers. Are they using the right systems? So this is something that I'm very passionate about, especially because I come from the IT side of the business or technology side of the business, and I found something really alarming. In Nova Scotia, actually, 49% of the businesses, they do use a system that is outdated or it's not really catered to their needs. So whatever those systems are, it could be simply accounting software to Excel, different types of spreadsheets, what they use. And then, of course, we can go to CRM and everything else. So again, they've been inherited from generation to generation, but they don't allow people really to excel in the area of utilizing the right system. Skills and attitudes. Again, the business challenge would be, in the business case writing, if you are doing any type of change management, if you're doing, restructuring within your company, definitely those are the things you have to write about. And of course, how much is this change welcome to the organization? So those are normally, again, parts of the challenge of the change management. So again, the business challenges normally has to be identified. And the easiest way actually is to do a little survey, or basically just meet and do needs assessment within the organization. My personal advice to anybody who grows the business and want to be on this side of consulting, definitely the easiest way is to do job shadowing, shadow a couple of meetings, shadow a few positions within the company, and then you start your business case writing. A lot of times people reverse this process, they try to re-engineer, but it's very simple. If you have a data, then you can write about those data, you can put them in a format that everybody could understand. And also as an output, you have to use a language that everybody understands. So be very careful of the language. A lot of business cases are written in the language on level 6 grade. So basically, if you start using a lot of colloquialism and stuff that the rest of the teams or rest of the business doesn't understand, then you might be in trouble. So be very, very conscientious of the language or lingo that's being used. So what are the advantages? So when the business case is written, a lot of people say to me, so what? So what are the things you can kind of point to whoever you write business case to or about? So I always say, we need more credibility. So how you gain credibility? You gain basically putting in a paper format that you do understand principles of the business. And if you do understand it, normally they will gain a credibility. So the chances are you're going to lock that business case. And, if you are bidding on, of course, you're going to be chosen to go to the next step. Also, another thing which is a big advantage is how we connect project, whatever we have need to change or there's desire to change with the results. So again, this is what we need to change, but this is the results as we implement the changes. So it could be change, could be expansion of the business, doesn't require too much change, could be implementation of the new software or anything like that. So it's kind of change is always in existence. However, a lot of people don't like to use a change, so I kind of use or try to use as little as possible in business case writing. So, I would talk about positive outcomes more so than changes. Making change management real, again, that is the advantage. And a lot of times when it comes to change management, I doubt with many companies, they do have great idea. They started change management process, and then all of a sudden they hit a brick wall. So what is the purpose of, or what is the kind of, in essence, what happened in the background? So everybody has to be on the same page. So the business case has to be understood by everybody, not just only CEO of the company or VP of the company or somebody who's in charge. Same thing applies if you're doing some business case in terms of change management with the department. So other departments, they have to understand changing the processes, how that's going to influence them as well. So again, when kind of looking at business case writing, you have to write it as a whole, but be very specific what impact will have on other departments or other people, if they're not maybe completely part of this business change. So justification of business needs, again, one of the things I always say, company has money, or maybe they borrow money, or maybe they got some grants and they would like to get into the new project. Doesn't matter, are they expanding or they're fixing something within, or maybe sometimes even they're changing completely the way how they do business. And what really helps with project planning, it is something called decision making. Without the business case, it's really hard to make any type of decision. And the reason why, because we're looking for that accountability levels on accountability steps on all the levels. So a lot of times from my experience, I found people will agree on certain business need only if everybody could see it and justify. So it's almost kind of you're making something that's not tangible, making it very tangible for each individual who is going to be part of this process. So when it comes to business cases and kind of my exposure too, I normally kind of look at several different areas. A lot of times these days for small business, it's very important to figure it out. What is the vendor they have to choose? So when I say vendor, for instance, somebody came to me the other day, said, you know what, I do have a telephone system that is a Bell, and this is my plan that I have with Bell, and I'm paying $1,196 every single month. And basically, what happened? Um, the product they bought, it was bought 17 years ago. So at that time, there was no any business case written. What can they do next? Is there any better vendor to go with? So as a result, I said to them, you know what? First of all, your plan is almost a dial-up plan. Second of all, what is the experience you have during the COVID time when office had to close? So basically, they said we kept paying Bell, but also we kept paying our phones as wireless phones or cell phones, and as a result, actually, our bill was triple. So normally, when they talk to me like that, I said, okay, I'm gonna take the note. I'm not going to say anything, but in the business case, I'm explaining how they can benefit from changing the vendor, or maybe changing within the vendor. So that's why it's very important to understand that process as well. If they are implementing new solutions, similar rules apply. So they can justify it if the business case talks about it. If it doesn't, then it's very hard for people to justify. A lot of times I would stay away, going in a company, making a big changes if we don't have something that we agreed on as a document. So the business case actually acts as a proof, as a document that both parties are in tune with what's going to happen next. So as a result, I kind of prepare something that's exactly what I market or what I did in my business case to this company. So as I said, every business case has 4 different, let's say, parts. Sometimes could be 5, depending what you're trying to do. But one of the parts actually, if it's not just sell the idea, it's justify why they need a change or why this change is going to grow with their business. So that's kind of something that I try to do. So what has changed? Before, I used to do a lot of writing. Now I do a lot of Instagram in my business case. So the Instagram, when I said similar to Instagram, if you look at on the Instagram, if you do have one, so pretty much looks like Instagram posts. So that's why I call it Instagram way of getting to people. So people like pictures better because they find it's very straightforward and they do understand better what's going to be. So the cloud telephone system. So the cloud telephone system, again, going back to the client, they did have a Bell phones. They could only reroute or forward one phone to one person. Other 7 phones are actually dead by the time COVID came and they couldn't use it. The only time they could use it if they come back to the office. Due to the restrictions, they couldn't come in the office. So pretty much every Friday somebody will come in the office and they would take around 700, and that was their kind of happy medium, sometimes more, sometimes less, but 700 voice messages. So imagine how long it takes somebody to listen 700 messages. That's like absolutely crazy job. But at the time, they can only have one person in the small office. So what I did, I kind of look at a little bit as a ballpark what happens in the world. So I kind of started funneling a very, very wide in my business case. So the first thing I talk about cloud system and what is the number of clients they reach at this point. So obviously 204.8 billion. So that is the telephone cloud system around the world. So again, some companies they might have 2 or 3, some companies might have 1, so whatever that is. Also, another thing is when we look at something to change, we want to look at the back end of the system. Is there a growth or is there a declining in usage? So here, basically, they said that the market size of cloud system in telephone industry will change 12% from 2020 to 2025. So again, if you're looking at a number that's being used, 12% of 204 billion, it's significant number. It's going to be around 250 million, a billion, let's say. 64% of business believe customers should have the option to talk to an agent or somebody who is answering the phone. This company actually does a research, so their job is to talk to people 24/7. So that's why I put this one as a very important part of their business. All those stats I found two sources. I use Statistics Canada, and also I pay prescription or subscription with Statista. So those two are very relevant to anything in the world that you want to kind of target. The next thing I talk about, 74% of companies says the cloud phone system are their most urgent investment priority. So when you look at what is the priority today, what is the trend, that's exactly what I was after in my business case. So again, I did explain a little bit detail surrounding those numbers. However, those numbers are hooked. Those numbers are visual that people really could process easier. 32 call minutes per day cloud phones can help save. So again, if you're looking somebody who gets 300-400 calls or even 100 calls, and you look at how much you can shave off, definitely benefits your organization. Smaller organization, less, somebody who has more contact with the customer, definitely would be beneficial savings. Cloud telephone system can trim down initial cost for any startup business around 90%. So that is my biggest selling point in my business case. So when I wrote this, actually, I'll explain exactly based on the numbers, because remember, I shadow them. I got all information from them, so everything was relevant. And on business case, I explain 90% based on statistics. So here is exact number how much you can save. And that was the biggest selling point, because it was super easy to say yes after that. Kind of just side information, because a lot of times in the business case writing, you're going to add amendment to your business case. So if you can find something surrounding your business case idea that's still relevant, so definitely says people prefer to contact business using web form, 24%, and 65% of people, they would still like to use the phone. So again, if the telephone system is movable, it's in place, it's not costly, it has a really easy setup, doesn't have too much maintenance, so it doesn't cost you in maintenance. So definitely something people should consider. And if you're looking as, industry as a whole and a phone cloud space, it will go from 20 billion 2018. That's, when they started doing a lot of things with it. Prior to was a little bit, but the really big year was 2018. And 2025, it would be $55 billion worth industry. So definitely cloud-based phone systems are going to replace a lot of things. So how it works, if you want to kind of have side note, so basically what I did, I implemented Office 365. Within Office 365, I implemented Teams, and the Teams actually, they do have, the way that you can actually tie all your systems to Teams or Microsoft, and pretty much you're paying one license, and as long as you have headset, you can answer the call from anywhere in the world. So really, timely, easy to install, easy to set up, and of course, the cost is enormous, enormously less than what they used to pay. So, and another big feature for them was because they have the same numbers last 17 years, so the numbers are portable as long as you live in Nova Scotia. So, so that is kind of business ideas and business case writing. I don't want to go into too much in the business case writing, but if you do need anything in terms of explanation, how to write it, when it's appropriate to write it, how to position your business case, definitely you can contact Nancy and then we'll go from there. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Zoran.
I am
Thanks,
curious.
Fran. I hope there's not
Thanks,
a test.
Yeah, there's always a test with Zoran,
No,
right?
there's no test.
Yeah, I'm curious about this phone system. I wouldn't mind learning more about it, Zoran, when you have a chance, right? 'Cause, yeah, it's sounds very interesting.